This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Welcome to the program. We're glad you're here. Earlier this week, we heard a stunning audio tape. Listen.
Is there a number at which
I can be bought?
not be bought?
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause for a couple of years.
No.
And then go right back to what you're doing.
No.
This is Kari Lake. She's the former Arizona news anchor and now a candidate for the U.S. Senate in Arizona. One of her, quote, friends who ran the GOP in Arizona came to her to tell her that somebody back east wants her out. So is there a job we can give you where you can make lots of money and, just disappear for a couple of years? Because there are some very powerful people that do not want you in the Senate. Kari Lake joins us. We'll have a conversation about that in 60 seconds. Program Kari Lake.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Are you?
Yes, it has been a crazy week.
Oh, I bet it has been. And arrows are coming your way everywhere. So first of all,
You know what, though? You know what? Actually, no. I think a lot of love's coming my way from the people.
oh,
Obviously, the arrows have been coming my way for a long time.
yeah.
The people are just exactly fed up right now, and they know this stuff's going on, and I think it just verified that they're not wrong. This is the kind of world we're living in, the corrupt world in Washington, D.C. and in politics.
Right. So let's start kind of at the beginning. This guy was a friend and a coworker. He claims that we were friends. We were just having conversations. Do you record all of your conversations, or is there a reason why you had this conversation taped? Did he
Let's
do
back
it
up
before?
a bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
So why would I record this? Well, I recorded it because it was about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I got a call from Jeff DeWitt, who is the chairman of the Arizona Republican Party, and he said, "Hey, what are you doing? I got to come over and talk to you." And I said, "I'm a little busy right now. I'm actually packing for CPAC. I think you might have been at that CPAC.
Yep, I saw you
And
there.
finishing up my book. I don't have a lot of time." And he said, "Well, I'm right in your neighborhood. I'm going to be there in 5 minutes. What I have to talk to you about, I have to do in person. It can't be." And I said, "Jeff, at this point, a lot of people knew I was there was speculation I was going to run for Senate." And I said, "If you're trying to talk me out of running for Senate," because I knew he had some friends who didn't want me to run for Senate, I'm not going to entertain that. And he said, No. I got to come over, but I can't do it on the phone. What I have to talk to you about." And I just got a bad feeling about it. I thought, is there going to be a threat? Why does he have to come to my door and talk to me?
I know I would record that conversation
That's why
as well.
I recorded it.
Yeah.
I just thought, if there's a threat, if he's going to threaten me, I need to have this on recording. I never even listened to it back until this week.
Okay,
I just said, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so wait a minute. So because his resignation letter was bizarre. If I wasn't doing things, I've had all kinds of conversations with Stu, but this is what I do. This is what I believe in. And if Stu said, "I've got some tape and, I'm going to expose it," I would be like, I'd come on and say, "Go ahead, expose it." We had many conversations. Some of them were difficult conversations, but none of them were unethical or illegal or anything like that. Why would he resign and say, "I'm resigning because of her threat that she's got more tapes"? Do you have more tapes, and did he do other things like this?
No, I don't. I don't have more tapes, and that's what is so disturbing about it. That he thinks that his
Wow.
behavior has been so unethical that he thinks there's worse stuff out there.
So you never said that you had more tapes to release. You never gave that threat to him.
I haven't talked to him, returned any calls, even texted him in a long time. And this is a bunch of BS. He's saying that I blackmailed him. I didn't even tell him I was putting it out. Usually, if there's a blackmail situation, you say, "This is going out if you don't
Right.
do that."
So
He didn't even know until the media contacted him for comment. He didn't know it was going out.
now you said
But
this.
the fact that,
Go ahead.
that he's behaved in a way that he thinks I think that the response he said there's more damaging video out there. or damaging stuff out there. And I'm like, what could be more damaging than 10 or
That's what
11
I thought.
minutes
Yeah.
of a bribery call? I mean, is there snuff film out there? What the heck is going
Right.
on with this?
Okay, so I said when this tape came out, I was really angry and said not another dime should go to the GOP. This guy should resign. If this is illegal, they should be arrested, anybody who was involved. If it wasn't illegal, it should be illegal. And I said it's not just about this guy in Arizona. The most important thing to me was that a call came from back east. And the way he said it, it was very knowing. Do you? And you don't have to give any names because if you do, you can get in trouble for slander or whatever. And, unless you have something to back it up. Do you have a pretty good idea of who he meant by back east?
I don't know. I mean, I've thought about it long and hard. I've got some guesses I could make, but again, I'm not going to do that. The sad thing, though, Glenn, is you could sit there for hours and think about it and come up with a list of 300, 400, maybe 500 people or groups or organizations that it could be. And that it says a lot about the state of our government, the state of our political situation. It could be so many different people. Shows you how corrupt Washington, D.C. is.
Okay, so has anybody reached out to you from back east to say, hey, we got to get to the bottom of this? Anybody from the GOP? Nobody?
No, nobody from the GOP. I've had some great people reach out to me, senators who I think are fantastic.
Correct.
Who said, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we can't wait to get you in the Senate. We need somebody who isn't bought and paid for and influenced." And you would think, Glenn, I mean, and I appreciate you for having me on, and I've had some great interviews already on this, but the mainstream media, by the way, I went public with this within 24 hours. I went public. I flew out of town, went to CPAC, changed my entire speech, and I just talked about this. I said, I just got bribed by a pretty big political person to stay out of politics. Basically offering me, how much would it take to make you to stay out? And I brought my whole speech, I kind of wrapped around this, and mainstream media didn't reach out and say, who bribed you?
Can I tell you something, Carrie? I mean, I've heard those things before. I've had things like this happen to me before, and I've referenced them, but I didn't have a tape. Why did you not? Because I would have had you on the next day had I thought that you had proof of it, and maybe it was just me for just dropping the ball here. Why did you wait for the tape to be released or to say, I have a tape of it?
Well, I didn't want to release anything, and I also didn't listen to it. I taped it because I was afraid there was going to be a physical threat, and when there wasn't, I just kind of put that file away and never even dealt with it. But I felt that going public with it the next day or within 24 hours when I went on the CPAC stage, and since then, again, this was 11 months ago.
Oh, I know. I was there. I heard you, and it didn't occur to me to ask you if you had evidence of it. And I'm sorry. I should have.
No, that's okay.
Well,
but I didn't listen to it until this week. I just went, oh my gosh, I have a recording of that. And I was eating dinner with my husband. My daughter was eating dinner with us. And I tracked it down and found it and hit play while we were eating dinner. And literally, as vivid as I recalled it, and I think when I did my speech at CPAC, I described it pretty well, our jaws dropped to the floor. We were shocked. I went, oh my gosh, this is so much worse than I even remembered it being. And my daughter was shocked. She said, tell me that guy doesn't work in politics anymore. I said, he heads up the Arizona GOP. And she said, what are you going to do about it, Mom? And I thought, I didn't really want to put that out, but how disappointing when your kids hear something like that and then you just sit on it.
Well,
I didn't want to.
I will tell you. You won a primary, did you not?
In the governor's race, yes.
Yeah, but no, not yet. Primary happens when? In Arizona.
August.
In August. Oh, geez.
I'm up 40 points against the competitor that I'm running against.
How many points?
So depending on the poll, 30 or 40 points.
Okay,
I'm not
good.
really working primary.
Here's the amazing thing that somebody back east powerful people really want you to go away. They don't want you in the Senate. I know that there is a big Senate fund, and I'm not making any accusations, but I know there's a big Senate fund that is that the GOP has, that is controlled by one individual who does have a pattern of supporting people that are not MAGA at any cost, even if it means we lose a Senate race. And they're not going to get behind you. First of all, if you're leading by 30 or 40 points, then you're the obvious candidate. Let the people of Arizona decide, but you should be getting support from the GOP. And if somebody is trashing our system and they are offering bribes so people go away, that all has to be exposed. I can't call out corruption on the other side if I don't call it out on our side.
Oh, 100%. I don't want corruption anywhere. I don't want it on the left. I don't want it on the right. And right now, Glenn, it seems like we have a lot of corruption in the Republican Party. And there's just this, and I think a lot of it is resistance to Trump. They don't want Trump running. And I don't know if it's because he's going to reveal a lot of the corruption. Frankly, I want people going to Washington, D.C., who Washington, D.C. doesn't.
Oh, me too. So,
and, the media now is covering this, and they're trying to, he was just offering her a job. It's like, no. And they're just, you talked about it. You have conversations with your friends. You run a business. Have you ever had a conversation like this? Is not normal.
No.
Anybody else who runs a business, if this is the kind of normal conversations you're having, you're probably in the mafia.
Well, quite honestly, I mean, it says a lot about people who leave Congress and before they run for another higher office, they go to work for these companies and seem to bide their time. There have been accusations by the guy who did it that you edited the tape. Is there any truth to that?
I put 10 or 11 minutes that involved the bribe. And I don't know how you could say that was, I forget the word he used.
Out of context.
Some sort out of context. How do you take 10 minutes of bribery out of context?
I mean, Stu and I were talking about this yesterday, and I said the only way it can be taken out of context is if the sentence before was, everything I'm about to say, I'm totally making up, Carrie. That's the only way to take it out of context.
Or I got to describe a scene from a movie I just watched.
Yes.
Here's how it went.
Yes. But the tape you gave us is...
he said it was creative editing. Yes,
right.
The tape I gave you is an honest tape. I pulled 10 or 11 minutes, I forget, I think it's a little over 10, of him trying to bribe me.
But you did not splice around or edit anything out of those 11 minutes?
Nope.
Okay.
It's all of the bribery part. And I didn't say, hey, welcome, I got you a cup of coffee, all of that. But, this is not taken out of context. This is not creative editing. Creative editing would be a 30-second clip.
Yeah.
This is a conversation about him bribing me.
So
there's no ifs, ands, and buts, and he's afraid there's worse stuff out there. It tells you a lot about him.
Carrie, I have to break for 60 seconds. Can you hang for a second?
Sure.
Okay. Carrie, you're a former news anchor for many years. You know how this works. It is shocking to me that you have evidence of the GOP being dirty and the mainstream media won't pick it up. You'd think this would be a story they would run with forever.
And they have picked it up, and I think initially they were like, what do we do with this? Because I am the person second to Trump that they like to bash over and just spread lies about and lie about. And so they picked it up and they covered it, and now they're like, oh, wait, what are we going to do? We've got a GOP guy bribing her, and they love to attack the GOP, but yet we can't ever make her look good. So how do we cover this? I mean,
it's unbelievable.
They don't know what to do. It's actually funny. I find it interesting. Just this week, when this story came out, the Arizona Republic, I call it the Arizona Repugnant, it's gotten that bad, our local paper.
It's always been bad.
doing public comments on any of the stories they put out. They know the public is fed up with them. The mainstream media is starting to fall apart. The wheels are coming off. You saw the hundreds of layoffs at the LA Times. People have just shunned the lies of the media. And thank God for people like you, Glenn. You've been around for a long time telling the truth. And thank God for the alternative media that's popping up and the independent journalists. We now have places to go where we can get the unfiltered truth and we don't have to depend on these propagandists.
What is the biggest thing that you would want to take on in Congress? Why in the Senate? Who would you ally yourself with?
Well, that's a good question. I like a lot of. I think there are a lot of good senators. I love Rand Paul. I love Mike Lee. Of course, they're fighters. I've gotten to know John Barrasso, and I think he's a good man. But I want to just go and represent the people of Arizona. I don't want to become part of a clique. I definitely don't want to become part of the back scratching club that Jeff talked about.
Despicable.
Or the backstabbing club. I'm sure there's one of those. I'd rather be in the butt kicking club, to be honest. And I want to take on the border. And I say that with a bit of reluctance because I have a feeling that I'm hoping the border is going to be taken on before then. I mean, how much longer can we take? Can we wait until January of 25?
What do you think about Texas saying that it's an invasion and calling up the National Guard, and the fact that the Democrats are saying the president needs to federalize them and take that power away from the governor?
Well, I was the first, when I ran for governor, I was the first candidate in the country to come up with a border plan, and it called for me on day one, taking the oath of office, to declare an invasion and put the National Guard on the border, take back the right and control of our border. Exactly what's happening now.
I remember. I wish somebody would have done it when you didn't. I wish somebody would have taken your idea and done a little earlier, but we're here now, and it is clearly an invasion.
I'm glad it's happening. And somebody said to me at the time, well, what if Joe Biden sues you? What if I go, sue me? What's he going to do, arrest the governor?
Yeah,
bring it on. So
Carrie,
this is a fight worth having.
Thank you so much. She is a candidate for the U.S. Senate in Arizona, and she has made an awful lot of news this week. That's Kari Lake, KariLake.com.